Okay. So we're just going to do the recap of just some of the announcements. We're not going to touch on everything. Today, what I've got prepared is the announcements that actually relate to just developers. But in the end, I do have just one that people who are into AIML would be interested in. I know this is a group also that I've seen some data scientists that come out of this group. So we'll just touch on one announcement out of there. So I am Veliswa Boya. I'm a senior developer advocate at AWS. I work with the entire Sub-Saharan Africa community. If you're learning AWS, you work with AWS. My role is to help you be successful as you build on AWS. So anything that it takes, I speak a lot at meetups, conferences, blogs, YouTube, on Twitch, everywhere. I'm in Johannesburg in South Africa. I was an AWS hero before I joined AWS. You have a hero in your midst, I know. So I was one as well. In May 2020, I became a hero, but then I got hired by AWS in December of 2020. So then I had to stop being a hero. I'm on social media. I like to connect. So if you can just find me there and we can connect on Twitter, LinkedIn. We've got a community on Slack, but I don't see it being very active much. But I know we're very active on those other platforms. And we have a couple of user groups throughout Sub-Saharan Africa. There was Cape Town. It's dormant right now, but hopefully it will revive this year. Pretoria, we have one. Pretoria and Johannesburg actually collaborated for a recap this week. That's the in-person that I did on Thursday. Kenya, we've got one there. I was in Kenya about 2-3 weeks ago. Nigeria, Ghana, this one here, and we actually have Benin as well. Sorry, let me just check something. And now what we're actually going to look at, I've just got 5 services or announcements that I'm actually going to talk through. It's the Amplify Studio announcement. I know a lot of people were very excited about this, and there were so many questions around it. And then EventBridge for S3, then Amazon Code Guru Reviewer Secrets Detector, and then new SDKs that we announced for Swift, for Kotlin, for Rust, and then we'll talk about Amazon DynamoDB, the new table class standard IA table class. And I'd like to say before I start as well, any questions, I don't have a problem if you do stop me from time to time if you want to ask anything. I am okay with that. And maybe before I start, can I ask, before I actually stop seeing the video and the chats, has anyone tried any of these services that I was just talking about just now? Oh, you've tried. Can I guess which one, Ross? Yes. Especially which one?
Actually, I work with the Amplify Studio. Yeah, I work with it a lot because it makes development faster. And then also the DynamoDB tables and DynamoDB update. But I didn't actually work with that in large scale. I was just trying it out to see what was really unique about it. And I've not touched the EventBridge for S3 yet, but just those 2 I think I've browsed through.
Okay, great. Anyone else? Okay, so about Amplify Studio, and before I start talking about Amplify Studio, before this announcement, we always had AWS Amplify. So just to go back a bit in case you're not familiar with Amplify at all, we always had Amplify. Amplify is a tool set that we have on AWS, and this brings the power of AWS to front-end developers. What it lets you do, it lets you include or add storage onto your applications. It lets you add things like authentication. You can host your app on AWS Amplify. You can even include AIML capabilities onto your app. That's what AWS Amplify, as it existed before this announcement, actually lets you do. It supports iOS, Android, Flutter, React Native, and then web, your normal web development. It integrates with frameworks like Vue, React, Next.js. So that is AWS Amplify. And now about Amplify Studio. So what you normally have, or you will find during app development, is that there are three parts that actually comprise an application that's running in the cloud. You've got your UI, which is what your customer or your user sees, which is what they would interact with. Then you've got your business logic, which is what the application actually does. And then you would have your back-end cloud services. This is now an app that's in the cloud. Then you've got your back-end. This would have the stuff that I already talked about, your data storage, your authentication. What normally would happen is that developers would have to write code to get all of this stuff actually in place for your application. What's great with the fact that they can write code is that they can innovate, and there is a lot of flexibility into what you can do when you're writing your own code. But the downside of that is that that can take time. The other option then that you could do to try and not have to write code is that you could use low code tools that are available out there. Those are going to help you in the fact that it's quick. It's not going to take you a lot of time, because you normally have a UI and then you're just clicking to add your components. That's great. You're not wasting time or taking a lot of time, but now you are limited because there's a very small room for you to do any kind of customization. What we've come up with what we've done with Amplify Studio is that we're bringing both of these to you. You have the innovation that you would get when you're writing your own code, because you can still customize and write code, but you also have the speed that you get when you are using a low code tool. So we actually say, if you can see there on the screen, that you get to visually build feature-rich apps in hours instead of weeks, and sometimes it can be months, with full control over the application code. We're going to see when we look at the demo what this actually look like. We integrating Figma, which is already a tool that exists out there that's used for design. And that's where you can go and actually do your design, and you have your components there, and then you can then port them onto AWS Amplify Studio, and then there you can carry on doing more customization that you actually are looking to do. So what you get with Amplify Studio is that you're now getting the flexibility of being able to still write some code, but you're also getting a visual development environment, which makes it quick for you to actually design what you want your app to look like. Now you're also getting the existing Amplify's powerful backend configuration, which is that integration to Amplify CLI that we're going to look at as well. You're getting that. So now you're getting the capability of being able to customize your application's design and behavior. That is Amplify Studio. And we're going to take a look at a demo just so you can see. I talked about Figma, the integration or the collaboration with Figma. Figma is a web-based graphics editing and user interface design app. That's what it is. When we look at the demo, you're going to see how you've gone and designed something in Figma, and then you take the link and then you add that onto Amplify Studio, and then you carry on doing the rest of your customization. So that is Amplify Studio. And now let's take a look at the demo. Okay, so before I start the demo, just to talk through it, because it does go very fast. I've been trying to record it a little bit slower, but it's just, I think the first bit, you don't really have to worry about it. The first bit is just showing you just building your project, which would be the normal thing you would do in Amplify anyway. And then later on, you're gonna see we go onto Figma to get the link for your library, and then you're going to bring that to Amplify Studio. Then all those components port across, and then you're doing customization. You're first going to do customization on Amplify Studio, the UI, and then you're going to connect to amplify CLI, and then you're going to do further customization there in the code. So that's all you're going to see here. If it does go fast, just know that's what the demo is showing. If you want to have this demo, well, everything I will send to you, Fawn and Rosias anyway, and then you can share with the team if anyone wants to go through the demo slowly later on. So that's fine. So let's start the demo. Because you're also connecting to your repo, whichever repo you're using, and then you're going to launch Studio, and then we are going to the UI library, and that's where you would then do all that porting from Figma that I actually mentioned before. This is going back to Figma to go get the link. And then going back to Amplify Studio there, and now it's going to fetch all of those components that you have on Figma. I've accepted all of them. You could always just accept a few or reject some, up to you. And these two will always stay synchronized. Now that you've got your UI library here, your Figma, every time you change something on Figma, it does synchronize with Amplify Studio. Now you're adding that back end that here we're just adding a data model. And then you're just defining properties, and then we're going to simulate test data onto your data model. You're going to see that happening just now. Auto generation, generating just adding a few records, just so we've got something to test with. Okay, that's your test data. So now this is going to start, now you start your customization. So it's first going to start. So you wouldn't really have to do that. If you wanted to directly go to Amplify CLI to start your customization, you could do that. But here we're going to start our customization on the UI, and then later on do it on CLI. And even that you wouldn't need to do. So it just depends on how much customization you want to do. So that's all that's happening now. It's just customization. So all this stuff optional right now is just how much do you actually want to customize. And now we're going to connect to the CLI, Amplify CLI, and then we carry on doing the customization there. Don't know, some of us like me who don't know CSS, that would be the end of it for me. I will end on the UI. almost done. So if you've worked with Amplify before, this starts to look quite familiar. Few seconds and then it will be done. So looking for those components again and modifying them there or customizing them there. Okay, and then that's the end of it. A very quick way, and especially for those of us where that's a much easier and a better option, a very quick way to actually put an app together. And that's what Studio actually lets you do. So that's the first announcement that I actually wanted to discuss today. And then we'll move on to the next one. And the next is Event Bridge for S3. And just a bit of a backstory about Amazon Event Bridge. So we launched Amazon Event Bridge in mid 2019, and the whole idea behind it was to make it easy for you as a developer to build powerful event-driven applications at any scale. So since we did that launch in mid 2019, there have been a couple of important features that were actually added onto Amazon Event Bridge. And I know my favorite one is the cross-region event bus targets. And what that feature is, you can have an event that originates from one region, and it actually gets written to a bus that is an event bus that is in another region. So what's great about that is that you could have 10 events originating from different regions, all of them its own region, but we've got only one bus that actually is the target. And what's great with that is that if when you need to do auditing, you can have one central place where you are doing auditing of all your events. So that is just the backstory of Amazon Event Bridge. So what now is happening with this launch that we announced at reInvent last year is that we're making it easy for you to use Event Bridge to build applications that react quickly and efficiently to changes in your S3 objects. When I first read the blog that Jeff Barr wrote about this, I was, no man, but that's already happening. What is this about? Because this is already in place. What I forgot is that um, as much as I used to already be able to react to the events that happen on S3, I had to write code in Lambda to actually do that for me. It was not automatic like it is now with this announcement. So already you could do that, but you had to write code. And the downside of the fact that you have to write code is that it takes you time. And also during execution, it means that you have to, your application has to go back and forth to the S3 bucket to fetch some metadata, bring it back to, and then only respond. So that can be time consuming. It's not very efficient. What this announcement does is that it makes it quite quick because it's all automated and integrated into Amazon Event Bridge. So that's the announcement. And I think if you're looking at the slide that you're seeing here, it's just again repeating what I just mentioned, that you just easily build and deploy event-driven applications. And also now, because of this new feature, you only pay for events that match a rule. So you have your S3 bucket. We're gonna see when we look at the demo what you do there. And then on Event Bridge, you define a rule, and the rule then responds to what happens on the S3 bucket or S3 buckets. Before we go and look at the demo, if you can see to my right, that's how you would define a rule. you get two types of rules. You've got one that reacts or responds to an event pattern. Event pattern is when something happens. So it's not predictable. It's just something happens, or you have a schedule. A schedule is a cron job. It's like a cron job. So that's more predictable because you're going to define the time and all of that. But here we're going to do an event pattern. And there I've got clicked predefined pattern by service. You can have a custom pattern. Predefined by service, and the service provider is AWS. And you'll see when we go there, it's AWS because you can have SaaS applications services that you can also define catch, whose events you can also catch. And that was the other motivation why we're moving away from reacting or responding to events on CloudWatch. We do Event Bridge because you can integrate with SaaS applications as well. And the name of the service is the S3. That's what we're actually looking at today. Event type is going to be an event notification. And there at the bottom where you see any event or specific events, you could say any events, which means anything that happens on your S3 bucket you want to respond to, or you have a specific event. And here we just have specific events and any bucket in this example, but in the demo, you'll see there's a specific bucket that we're actually responding to. So we specify that bucket by name. So that is that on just background. And now looking at the demo. Before we start the demo, it's a very quick demo. It doesn't take long as the other one. We go into the S3 bucket. There's an option there that did not exist before, which says switch on event bridge notification. It defaults to off. So you just go toggle it to on. That's it. And then you come onto event bridge, you create this rule. And now, once we've done that, we can start testing. So the test will be an upload onto the S3 bucket, and then we'll see if that event was actually triggered or the rule was actually triggered. That's all. So I'm gonna start the demo. Now I'm on S3, and that's the bucket, properties, and go on to event notifications. No, it's Amazon Event Bridge, and then just switch it on. That's it on your S3 bucket. So this won't work if you don't switch that on. Now we're going to start defining that rule. It follows what we just looked at. We create a rule, give it a name, a description, and then you start defining the pattern. You could call it anything. It doesn't have to be the same name as that S3 bucket. I just called it the same name. So things that I can upload onto a button, onto a bucket is an object level. So that's why you're seeing object level API calls there. And then that's it. And so we're saying once this event is triggered, what do we want to do? And here I'm just saying send a notification. So the notification would say that, oh, something was uploaded onto your bucket. That's it. Rule created. So now if you go back onto your S3 bucket and you upload an object, this rule should be triggered. Okay, done. So now I'm going to CloudWatch. CloudWatch is a monitoring tool on AWS. Now I'm just checking to see for events whether there was a trigger for that rule. That's all. And so that's the test. I could have also maybe gone and checked my email or SMS or whatever that I was supposed to get as a notification. That's also part of the test. But here I'm just checking on CloudWatch for the trigger to the rule. That's a rule, so it was triggered, and that's it. That's the end of this demo. So that's the second one that I'm actually talking about today, just Event Bridge for S3. And you'll notice there was no code that that I had to write anyway, whereas before we would have included a visit to Lambda where I would have had a Python running there, and we would have stepped through to see how it's actually responding to this, but it was not needed for this one. Okay, so that's the second one. And now we're going to talk about the third announcement from, let's first look at this before we actually do a stop through. So this is what would happen. This is the workflow of development. So you would write, there's a write and a review of your code, and build and test, a deploy, a measure and improve. And where does Code Guru fit in? Code Guru Reviewer, it fits in right at the beginning where you are doing a write and a review of your code. It has built-in code reviews that recommend you actionable steps or things to do. But we're going to talk about it again later. And then there's Code Guru Profiler, which does the detection and optimization of expensive lines. And this would be now, you've done writing the code and now your application is running. And Code Guru Profiler also is in, it also comes in when your code is in production, your application is already running, and it does, it identifies performance and cost improvements, and then it will do recommendations for you there again. So just a step through of what this announcement is, and a bit of a backstory of what we're actually looking at with this announcement. So we already have this service. It was announced maybe 2 reinvents ago, could be wrong, Amazon Code Guru. Amazon Code Guru is a developer tool that provides intelligent recommendations that help you improve code quality, and it also helps you identify your application's most expensive lines of code. So you see what we were looking at on the slides that you're looking at right now, Code Guru Reviewer and Code Guru Profiler. Code Guru has 2 components. It has Code Guru Reviewer, which, as you saw, it comes in while you still build, while you're still writing your code, and then you have Profiler, which comes in when your code is, your application is now running in production, and it keeps on identifying your most expensive lines of code and help you reduce cost significantly. Code Guru Reviewer supports, because that's now while you're still writing your code, it supports, integrates with GitHub repositories, GitHub Enterprise repositories, Bitbucket, and of course, AWS Code Commit repositories. It will do this review on code that's built either in Java or Python. That's what we're supporting right now. So on Code Guru Reviewer, we've now introduced the secrets detector. And when I heard about this, I don't know about all of you, I thought, why do we need a secrets detector? Whoever had code secrets in their code? Nobody, right? This is a very useless announcement. Who does that? But yeah, some of us do. I probably also am guilty of that in the past. So that is what the secrets detector does. So as you're writing your code, it is reviewing, because you've now connected your repository onto this. It's reviewing and it's just checking for secrets. And these could be things like your API keys, your username, your password, your database connection strings, all of those. It will let you know about them, that you have these. So it doesn't just tell you that you have hard-coded these onto your code. It also proactively tells you what to do with them. We have a service on AWS called Secrets Manager. Secrets Manager is for managing and rotating your secrets, all these that I just mentioned, your API keys, all of those. So it will tell you, you've got secrets hard-coded. This is what you should do with them. So this is this announcement, and that's what's so great about it. And yeah, that is it about the announcement. I don't have a demo for this one, but what I do have is this is what the recommendation would look like. Exactly like we were just saying now, it's picking up there that your code has hard-coded AWS Access Key ID. And then it just warns you that this is not great and what you should actually do with it. So that's the third announcement. And the other announcement that just mentioned today, here we don't have a demo either. We're just going to talk through it quickly. The new SDKs. I saw for a long time on Twitter especially calls for SDKs for Rust. And this is us responding to those calls. We always say at AWS, whatever we do, it's definitely influenced by customer feedback. We listen to what our customers want, and we don't build things because we think they look fancy. It's to respond to a customer request. Currently, before this announcement, we already had 9, or is this the 9th one? We already had 9. I think we've got 12 now with these announcements. Yeah, we already had 9, which are the ones you're seeing at the bottom in the gray stripe: Ruby, Python, PHP, those ones. And now we're just including Swift, Kotlin, and Rust. All of them are right now available in preview, which means if you want access to them, you'd have to apply, and then you get given access that way after a review. That's it. So now if you're building your applications using Swift, Kotlin, Rust, you have those JavaScript objects available for you in SDK that you can just insert onto your application and quickly access AWS services from inside your applications that way. So that's the fourth one I wanted to mention today. And the last one that we're going to talk about is Amazon DynamoDB infrequent access standard AI, which was not there before. Before, all you had was a standard table class. What you get with this is you're getting, okay, maybe just to go back quickly, what is Amazon DynamoDB? Amazon DynamoDB is our managed NoSQL database. It is a database that people who write gaming apps love a lot, because you can store your state of your game, you can store leaderboards, you can store everything about your game. Social media apps also like to use DynamoDB. It's another use case for it, because it scales without you having to do anything, and it's managed. So you don't have to manage or look after the infrastructure that your database runs on, and hence it's a favorite. So what you're getting now with this announcement of standard AI is that you're getting to lower your storage costs. So you no longer need to have objects that you don't access all the time sitting on your main table, your standard table. You can just move them to your standard AI, and on there, you're not paying a lot of money because it's infrequently accessed stuff. You actually get to reduce your cost by 60% of what you would normally pay for a normal DynamoDB standard table. You're not losing out on performance just because you've moved to standard AI. This table still offers you the same performance, the same durability, the same data availability, and the massive scalability that you would get with a standard DynamoDB table. And there's no developer overhead, because you can switch between the standard AI back to standard, or standard back to AI, without you, just on the console, on the DynamoDB console. So, or using the CLI or the SDK, without you having to write any code. So your underlying code does not have to be changed at all as you switch between. So now we're gonna take, this is a demo. I was talking about switching between being just on the console. This is what's happening here. Let me play it again, because that went quickly. Okay, so that's just gonna stay there playing until I stop it. So yeah, so this is now the switch in between, just on the console. So it's what I was saying, that you switch between both without you having to touch anything else. on the console or CLI or SDK, wherever you actually prefer to go and switch. The next demo that we're going to look at is the last demo. It's an app that's built using the standard IA class and a standard class. So what actually happens in this demo is that you have your Lambda function. So there's code there that puts an item, so writes an item onto table one. Table one is your standard table class. So that's the existing one. But that item has got a time to leave, a TTL of 60 seconds.
Just start joining us now, that side.
Sorry? Sorry?
No, sorry, go ahead, Veliswa. I think somebody
unmuted
the mic.
Okay, cool. So the table one has the time to live of 60 seconds. So once the time to live expires for that object, it then, or for that item, it then gets removed from table one and it gets streamed to table two, which is the infrequent access. So it's almost like it's archiving it there for you. And that's what you're going to see now playing. So that's all you're going to see. But I'll talk through the demo as it plays. It started. This is just infrastructure as code. You're just defining your infrastructure, which is that Lambda code that's that I mentioned, and then the two tables. You're just defining their properties. That's all that's happening here. You're defining your infrastructure as code. After this, you'll see, we'll go into the console and we'll see that those tables are actually now there. We could have skipped this part and defined everything on the console. It's a choice that you have. Okay, so now you see that's there. The table has been created, standard AI, and yeah, that is the property. Okay, now this is your actual application, and now it's defining that time to leave, and it's the entire streaming it from table one onto table two. That's what now you're gonna see play out here. Okay, now you've got items in table one, and now you're gonna first see, you'll see there'll be items in table one, and then you'll see as they expire, you'll see them being moved onto table two. That's all you're gonna see here. So it's just going from sometimes checking on the console and then coming here to look at it. So that's table one with 5, and then it's just a bit of a break to get the 60 seconds to tick over, and then okay, now table 2. Okay, it's just defining the streaming. Okay, now we've lost one because the 60 seconds actually expired. That's that. I'm going to stop the demo here because that's all I wanted to show. Beyond that, it's just doing the same thing. You're going to keep losing items as they expire and they get moved to table 2. So that's it on this. But I do want to show you one last thing. I did mention that we're talking developer specific announcements, and we finished those 5 that I actually wanted to discuss today. And I said I've got one announcement that is AI related, AI/ML related. I did see, so at reInvent during the keynotes, because we've got a couple of keynotes that actually happen during the AI/ML keynote, we announced a hackathon. And the hackathon was tied to an announcement of a new service, which is the Amazon SageMaker Studio Lab. Studio Lab is it makes machine learning accessible for people who don't know ML. It's a service that you can sign up to without needing a credit card. You just use your email address and off you go. So we also announced this hackathon in line with this, and it's just to raise more awareness around this service, and also to raise awareness around disasters and the hackathon and why this hackathon exists.
So thanks everyone. Thanks for taking the time this Saturday. Thanks again, Veliswa and Cheik. Thanks for answering all the questions on the forum. Looking forward to other sessions like this one. Please let's give a round of applause to Veliswa and Cheik.
Thanks everybody. Thanks for inviting us. This was awesome.
Thanks.
Nice to meet you all.
Yeah. Thanks here. Okay. Looking forward to some other meeting with you.
Definitely. Veliswa, you're coming to Cameroon. Goodbye.
Bye.
For the poulet DG.
Cameroon
for the poulet DG.
Yeah, Cameroon poisson braisé, un poulet DG is waiting.
Exactement.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Enjoy. Bye-bye.